Welcome to Mindfully with Tumishe, the podcast that invites you to explore mental health with honesty, compassion, and openness. Each week, your host, Tumishe Oladapokuku, shares personal stories and stories from people like you. Together, we'll confront mental health myths and build a space where imperfection isn't feared but embraced. From self-esteem struggles to relational conflicts, we're here to discuss it all, with guidance from experts and real raw stories that inspire healing. It's time to live mindfully. It's time to be compassionate with ourselves and each other. Mindfully with Tumishe, new episodes every week, available wherever you listen to podcasts or at blackimages.com.
Hey, mindful partners, how are you doing? And I'm sure by now you understand that is good for have you checked in with yourself lately? Or, as a matter of fact, today. If you have not, this is not just a subtle reminder that you should do just that, but also like a permission slip to check in with yourself. Yeah, go ahead, do it. Check in. Your inner self is waiting, and also be ready to embrace whatever your innate inner wisdom is going to tell you when you have that personal board meeting, as I call it. At the beginning of the season, if you remember very well, when I came back from that long break I took in April, I did say that I was returning softer, slower, and more certain. Certain that turning inwards isn't weakness, it is wisdom. More certain that there is wisdom in stepping back and being mindful of everything that happens in my life. I'm returning and embracing the whole essence of the book, Living Mindfully, A Journey to Being. Stop, breathe, notice, reflect, respond, and resolve. That's the part of that clip that was missing from the SBNRR template that I use to navigate the noises in my head and in the world. Now, let's get to today's story. Of course, I know it's June and it's Men's Mental Health Month, and it is no longer news. If you've stayed with Mindful with Tumishe and indeed me for a bit, you know that this particular societal pain point is very, very dear to my heart. So what did I do? I had planned, as I did last year on Mindfully with Tumishe, that this month I'll have only male perspective through the month of June. And this was going smoothly. Of course, if you've not heard it, go back and hear Diary talking about dual vulnerability, and last week you had Dr. Kenneth speaking to reframing how to provide mental health help to ourselves and in the society. Go check that, and I might just link that in the show note. But like I said, it was going smoothly and it just stopped. Presently, my mind and my body are in some sort of war. A silent and I dare say salient war that I'm trying to understand myself. It's as if my body has built a wall as purposeful as the Berlin Wall that my body can't just climb or cross over. So this week, I was caught between offering a no-show or doing a rerun of an old episode or just running solo. The solo wasn't and isn't so much of a bother. I could do that. I do that all the time. I've almost always covered a non-guest episode with a solo chat. So that was not the problem. What was happening in my head was this was different. So I thought. It's Mental Health Month. What will be the theme of the solo? What story would I speak to men's mental health well-being and how they navigate the world? I might champion the cause. Yeah, I'm not a man and I cannot walk in those shoes, no matter the increasing gender narratives, the gospels that is going on social media that plague us every day. I'm extremely glad that the world of psychology, psychiatry, and social sciences is beginning to beam searchlights into men's mental well-being, and the whole of the media, if you are a social media person, is flooded with information and stories about men's mental well-being. Trust me when I say I am extremely glad. If you remember, that was how A Fight for Life was birthed during June 2024's Men's Mental Health Month. So I'm extremely glad. So what I was going to speak about was just non-existent. Like, what do I want to say? And as usual, I started to speak to myself. And are you really going to ghost your audience, Michelle? Sure, they have over 70 episodes that you can rerun and refer them to. Still, even though Oppo is still like we say. Anywho, after a lot of personal board meetings, the one that I referred to at the beginning of this episode, with no inspiration or a way forward, I said to myself, you don't cast. You're going to have your first no show. And Uluwatumishe, that is okay. Whew. Getting to this point of what I refer to as a personal defeat was almost crippling, but I had to speak to myself that it's okay. Then, with the surrender, came a whisper, very much like when God spoke to Elijah in the silence. If you don't know about that drama, this scene in the Bible, please just go look for it. Elijah was so upset, and then God came. There was noise. There was storm. There was heavy wind. But in the silence, I heard consistency is fluid. Oluwatumishe. Okay, so as a pseudo researcher that I am, I began to search out what consistency means, because consistency is fluid. What does that mean? I know consistency itself is self-explanatory, and we've heard motivations about how it's about always behaving and performing in a similar way, and that is completely true. I am not taking anything away from that. What I might add to that socially accepted definition is consistency is behaving and performing in a similar way that supports your values and beliefs. This definition still doesn't quite hit what I believe the consistency is fluid expression that came in for me during my moment of surrender. So I turn to the second definition as a linguist that I am, and if you use the dictionary often, you know exactly what I did there. The second definition says the way a substance holds together in thickness and viscosity. Viscosity? Of course, I tap on viscosity. which is a state of being thick and semi-fluid in consistency due to, wait for it, internal friction. And there was a light bulb moment for me, and I said, yes, consistency is indeed fluid. So, this is what it means to be consistent. It is not about perfection. It is about showing up and giving at whatever level of energy that is your best at the time. You showed up and you honored your values, yourself, regardless of the intensity of your energy. As my son would say, practice does not make perfect, it makes for progress. It was as if surrendering to the fact that I couldn't serve and trusting that my God-given innate wisdom would serve opened the doors of creativity and opportunities, albeit personal to me. So I was okay with a no-show and a no solo chat or no reruns. So I wasn't going to share anything or record anything. I was just going to let the fluidity in my consistency marinate and talk about it after the Men's Mental Health Month. And I was really okay by that. Then I have a friend checking on me. And Esere, thank you for checking, by the way. Checked in on me. And I said, honestly, Esere, I do not have anything scheduled for the week. And his response was, I feel you. It will be late though, even if a rant, just rant, you got it. Of course, I didn't respond, but I knew that I'll be sharing my learning on consistency on this episode. So while I will not get academic or technical about what consistency might mean, because frankly, I'm too drained to even do a deep dive. And as I said earlier, it's just simply showing up and doing your best. And there'll be times your best or is 100%. Sometimes it will be 90%, below 50%, and sometimes it's just 10%. The important thing about what I learned about consistency being fluid is that you showed up and invested that 10% of your best into the performing behavior that will birth the substance that will hold you together. It's about honoring the purpose and building focus. You will not always be your 100% best, but I put it to you that your 10% best too is valid. Embrace it, honor it, nurture it, and you find yourself gradually build back to your 100. And I hope that with these few words of rant of mine, I hope I have been able to convince you and not confuse you that consistency is fluid and only you can define what fluid represents to you. Before I go, I need to circle back to men's mental well-being. And at Mindfully with Tumishe, we're not resting. In fact, there might be an episode that will feature only men to wrap this month up. Working on that. But most importantly, we're gearing up for a Fight for Life 2.0 this November to wrap up this year's Movember movement. If you missed the last edition, you do not want to miss this. November 29th is the date, so mark your calendars. You could also check out Mindfully with Tumishi on Instagram, or I am Brother Allah on Instagram. That's our resident co-host, to get a feel of how last year went down. If this, of course, the fight for life is only for men. So if you're a woman listening to this, get ready to send in your man to come enjoy this men's conference that emphasizes playing, speaks to the psychological safety that men need, and of course, give tools and have fun. So that's it for today on Mindfully with Tumishi. Before I go, whether you're male and female, this is for you. How will you show up for yourself and define your consistency in the face of whatever curveball life will throw? Until next episode, stay mindful, stay consistent, stay fluid. A huge shout out to my buddy Esiri Peters for encouraging me to drop this. He didn't know what I was going to talk about, but he just said, "Rant if you want, it's going to be lit." I hope it is lit. So, love yourself, love your neighbor, love your country. Above all of this, love God. He is the essence of your being. I am Uluwatumishi Oladakbo Kuku.
This is Mindfully with Tumishi, brought to you by Black Images. This is Mindfully with Tumishi, brought to you by Black Images.